All right, welcome in. It is the Catamount Chronicles. This is episode number 5. And as I have had now the last 2 weeks, my first guest of the week is a hockey player. Last week it was UVM product Tori Mitchell, a decade in the NHL. This week it's Aaron Miller, 14 years in the NHL, another graduate of UVM. Spent 14 years in the league, played 4 different teams, won a silver medal at the Olympics. And the podcast is always brought to you by Sobu Stretch Boutique Yoga Studio in South Burlington, just off Shelburne Road, and by the Strike Zone Baseball Academy in Essex Junction. Aaron, how are you?
Doing good, Brady. How you doing?
Good. Well, I appreciate you joining me. You are also now the co-owner of Buffalo Wild Wings, a bunch of different franchises in New England. What's harder, restaurant owner or NHL player?
Restaurant owner, by far.
Yeah, well, I can imagine truthfully how hard that would be.
Well, there's just a lot of variables. Playing pro hockey was just kind of me doing my own thing, and it seemed as hard as the harder I worked, the better off I would be. It's not always the case. I mean, you look at this COVID thing going on in the restaurants right now. There's a lot of things that are out of your control, but hockey was a lot of fun. But I got to be honest, so was this restaurant thing.
When you were done playing, and a lot of people are telling you where to put your money, where to put your earnings, where to invest, why restauranting? Why was that the decision?
That's exactly where everyone said not to. They got two pieces of advice: never go into business with friends, and don't open a restaurant. And that's exactly what I did.
And you just felt like being defiant, or what?
Well, I just, I this is a little bit different. It was a franchise. It's a little different than opening my own place. A little safer. And I got into it with a really, really good buddy who I knew that no matter what happened in business, would never damage that relationship. So we started out slow, and it just kind of grew and grew. And it's something that has been really successful and a lot of fun.
Well, I'll let you give a plug for Buffalo Wild Wings. It's one of my, truth be told, it's one of my favorite places to go. It always has been, even before I lived here. But how are you guys handling things post-coronavirus? Let everybody know it's a safe place to go, what you guys are doing, etc.
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, the beginning was really tough and really scary, but people have been great as far as getting takeout and delivery. And now all our restaurants are 50% open, so we can get a bunch of people in there and watching sports, which have started to start up here. I've been watching the NHL playoffs a ton. There's a lot of good stuff on TV now, so we're getting through it. Hopefully, we can get past it and get to fully open and start packing it again for big events like UFC and stuff like that. But for right now, we're hanging in there, and we're doing the best we can.
Now, you played in the NHL playoffs a couple different times. Can you imagine doing the playoffs in a bubble? Can you imagine what they're doing right now up in Edmonton and in Toronto?
It's got to be tough. I mean, as far as hockey goes, it's probably the best thing. I remember when I played in the playoffs, especially in Colorado, we would stay in hotels even when we were home to try to get rid of all the distractions. It's not that your family's a distraction, but just friends and people asking for tickets. And there's just a lot of things that can take you away from the game. And being in a bubble for these guys, they're together all the time. All they're doing is hockey, hockey, hockey. It's got to help that way. But boy, if you've got a bunch of kids and you don't get to see them for a long period of time, that's got to be tough.
It's maybe at the beginning of this, when you arrive in Toronto or Edmonton, I think I could see how there'd be a novelty to it. You're excited to see your teammates be focused on hockey again. But at what point do you think it becomes a mental grind? Like we're 3 weeks into the playoffs and stuff. Are we already there, you think, for these guys?
I don't know. I mean, this is it's odd that they had this long break before the playoffs, but it's why you play the entire season. That's the grind. And when you get to the playoffs, it really changes. It becomes there's no tough practices anymore. It's all about the games. It's all about concentrating on your opponent, and it's a lot more fun, to be honest with you. So I don't think these guys, any of them, are considering this a grind. Not until it's over, you realize how hard it was, and you kind of, you've lost a bunch of weight and you need to get whatever your off-season surgeries. Then it kind of becomes apparent. But playoff hockey is so much fun. That these guys, they're loving it.
What is the difference as a player between playoff hockey and regular season hockey? How different is it for you?
Um, I loved it. I'm not a big practice guy. I mean, I you do it. You want to stay in shape. You want to improve on some things, but I love playing in the games, and that's what the playoffs is all about. It's every other day you're playing games. They all matter, and you're trying to chase that childhood dream of winning the Stanley Cup. And it just everything is elevated. Every check is finished. Everything is that much more important. And 82 game schedule. You lose one here or there. It's not the end of the world, but the playoffs, each and every one matters. And boy, I think the hockey's been incredible. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
You've got a couple intricacies in your career that I got to pick your brain about. So you were drafted by the Rangers, but actually got traded by the Rangers while you were in college at UVM. What is that like to be traded for a team you've never even played for?
It's really not like anything. I mean, I never went or had anything to do with the Rangers. I came out for practice one day, and Mike Gilligan was the coach then, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to let you know you got traded today." I was like, "Oh, great." I mean, I was a sophomore in college. I knew I was a year or two away from that, and at the time I thought maybe it was a good thing because the Rangers were really good and really deep, and Quebec was not. So I thought, maybe it'll give me a better opportunity to make it with the big club. But it didn't change anything. I mean, when I was in the NHL and I got traded, it's tough. It's pack your stuff, grab your kids, and move to another city. But when I was in college and got traded, it was no big deal.
We see this in the NFL now, or in college football to the NFL, where guys will sit out their bowl games because they're fearful of what will happen and affect their draft status, and they don't want to get injured, etc. What's it like for you as a college player to play in a place 3-4 years, but knowing you already have a pro contract waiting for you? I could see how guys would want to hold themselves back a little bit because they know what's coming. That's a weird dynamic to me in hockey.
Yeah, maybe if you're a high first rounder or something, but I was a fifth round pick. I was just trying to impress anyone I could. Even though you're drafted, it doesn't guarantee anything. So I just wanted to keep getting better, and I'd play a couple of years in the minors before I became a full-time NHL guy. So I could see being a real high pick, not wanting to do things and get hurt when the guaranteed money's there, but that wasn't necessarily the case for me.
So you get up in, I think 93 was your first year. You get up with Quebec. You play one game. What is that like to work so hard, play an AHL season, get up for one game, and then were you sent back down? Did the season end? What was it there?
Yeah, it was one game. There were some injuries. I got called up. It was an opportunity. We played. I believe it was in Quebec. My family was able to get up there and see the game, but literally it was one game. And thanks for coming back down to the minors. So it was a taste. It was great. It was an ability for me to see these guys fly everywhere, the way that they're treated, just the next level that I always wanted to get to. So it was tough going back down, but I went back and worked hard. And the following season, I got even a bigger taste and eventually became a full-time gig.
So I'm fascinated by the idea of teams relocating because I've seen it happen to my own teams. I was a Seattle Sonics fan. They left, went to Oklahoma City. My dad's a Cleveland Browns fan. They left, went to Baltimore. You're playing in Quebec right as the team is about to move to Colorado. And though you were a young player, did it register with you what was happening then? What was it like knowing the team was jetting out of town soon?
I was kind of excited. Quebec's a great city, but it's tough being up there. A lot of, everyone pretty much speaks French. There's not a lot of English speaking. It was tough getting around. A great hockey city, but I was really excited for the move to Colorado. And that's a tough deal for Quebec because the next year they win the Stanley Cup, and Colorado was a really good team. And I can imagine how that affected them. But for me, it was great. I was really excited, and I got to live 6 or 7 years in Colorado and in Denver. It's an awesome city, so it was a lot of fun.
So you played 5 games with Colorado your first season there, the year that they win the Stanley Cup. Your Wikipedia page says he did not play enough games to be counted as a member of the Stanley Cup winning team. Did you get a ring for that year?
No, I didn't get a ring. Um, I wouldn't have wanted a ring either. Well, I guess it wouldn't, but wearing it around wouldn't be the same, man. I didn't play any playoff games. I think I was up for a lot more games than 5 back then. They'd call you up and just to have an extra guy a lot of
Okay.
times. So you'd spend a lot of time up just getting skated and being ready, but not necessarily playing. I felt like I was a big part of that team, but if you don't play in the playoffs, you don't get a ring. I know at some other sports, doesn't baseball, if you play for a team and get traded to another team and the team you were originally on won, don't you get a ring?
Yep, they can give you a ring for
Some
whatever they want.
weird stuff in some other sports, but yeah.
You could have one at bat and they'll give you a ring if they want to.
Yeah. No, not in hockey. You've got to play a certain amount of playoff games or at least one game in the finals. It's something. It's written down somewhere. But yeah, I was close. I was close that year, and then I was close the year before I got traded away too. I was kind of sandwiched right in between 2 cups.
So the next year, the year after the Stanley Cup year, you're up full time. That's your first full year. When did you feel like you had made it? When did you feel like, okay, I'm here to stay?
I guess throughout that was a weird year for me. I played a lot of games at forward.
Yeah.
Colorado had a tendency to do that. They would take defense because playing forward's a lot easier than defense. Like anyone can play the wing, and I think I played about 55 games, and I was a healthy match for the remainder. So I was up the whole year. I was on a one-way deal. That's the biggest key, signing a one-way contract, because if you're on a two-way, they're just going to send you down whenever they feel like it. But a one-way contract, you're there for good, and that's when I really felt and knew that I could play at that level. And then it just kind of progressed from there. Year after year, I just got more confidence and felt more comfortable.
Well, I've got 2 favorite questions that are becoming my favorite questions. I'm going to start to ask everybody. The first one is this: would you rather have been the man on a team that's not as good, or fourth line guy, healthy scratch guy on a team that's a cup contender?
Oh man. I think I'd rather be the guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If you're the guy, you probably think you can always make the team better and improve the team. Plus, you make a heck of a lot more money. Sitting here now and knowing just how short a pro career is, you really gotta. You obviously want to win. You want to be a great teammate, but you got to look out for yourself, and it's your own little business, and you got to make as much while you can. So I would definitely be the stud on the bad team.
What motivates players? Because fans always want to hear, we have this notion that, oh, they should just want to win championships. And as I get older, I realize I don't think that's the case. Do you want championships? Do you want playing time? Is it the money? What's the biggest motivating factor for a pro player?
Oh boy, that's a great question. There's so many different things. I mean, when you're done, you obviously want to try to win a championship. I think a lot of guys towards the end of their career, they'll make decisions based on better teams. They'll go places that give them a better chance to win. But a lot of times it's not your decision. You're drafted by a team, and that's where you got to play. And I think guys they want to be known as hard workers that were good teammates, and you just try and go out there and do the best you can and truly make as much money as you can for your family. It's a great job. It's a ton of fun, but your body takes a beating, and it doesn't last all that long. So you got to try and get that cash when you can.
Well, the podcast, the Catamount Chronicles, brought to you by Sobu Stretch, just off Shelburne Road. It's a boutique yoga studio, meditation studio off Shelburne Road in South Burlington, where you can find Buffalo Wild Wings that Aaron Co. owns as well. So you get $5 off your first class by mentioning the promo code Brady5. So Brady5 gets you $5 off your first class. I talk about yoga and recovery and working out and things like that. 14 years in the league. How do you feel today?
Pretty good. All I do is play golf, so I can't get hurt doing that. It was a grind. The last four or 5 years of my career was a surgery at the end of every season. A lot of back stuff and sports hernias, it was a beating, but I feel pretty good right now, to be honest with you. I've kind of figured out what to do and what not to do to have my body feel good. I'm not 50 yet, so we'll see what the future holds. But I wouldn't trade hockey for anything. My body may end up being real beat up, and I may have as I get older. But stuff while you're playing, you're just so happy and fortunate that you get to do what you love.
You also had a pretty serious neck injury, if I'm remembering correctly, early in the 2000s, right around the time there was the lockout. What happened there?
I had a whole bunch of stuff. Like 2000, well, I had an injury where I was clearing a puck out, and I was kind of off balance, and I got hit into the glass, and I thought I broke both of my collarbones. I came to the bench. I didn't know
Oof.
what was wrong, and what had happened is I tore all the muscle off kind of my collarbones. It was a disaster. That was like a 2-month recovery. It still bothers me. But then there was a lot of back stuff and a lot of it was always something, Brady. It was always something. I didn't have a lot of years where I played more than 70 games because there was always some sort of 2-3 week broken. I broke the same foot 3 times blocking shots. But I'm not complaining. It's part of the job as a defensive defenseman. So you're going to take a beating, but there was definitely some injuries.
We were talking about this. I talked about this with Tori Mitchell last week because we had been talking about baseball and the unwritten rules, and everybody gets on baseball for unwritten rules. I think there's unwritten rules in every sport, but baseball gets the most grief for them. What's your number one unwritten rule in hockey?
The number one unwritten rule in hockey? Holy
Yeah.
cow! There's a million of them. I guess one is that you got to pay the price for what you do. You go out there and take a run at the other team's best player. You're going to have to answer for it. That's the thing about people wanting to take fighting out of hockey. I get it. I like what they're doing with the sport. It's a faster sport, but there always has to be kind of a little bit of fear and respect for doing something stupid. And it can't be, just sitting in a penalty box. Sometimes the other team's going to come after you, and I think that's just part of it. Some people may not like that. Some people may, but it's a lot like baseball, doing something stupid and then someone, throwing a pitch at you. It's just an unwritten rule. Everyone in the sport is fine with it. They understand it, but it's where a lot of talking heads have different views on it. But I think that's the biggest thing. You do something stupid, you're going to have to pay a price.
Is there a right way and a wrong way, though, to do that? You talk about instilling fear and having some accountability, but there's got to be a right way and a wrong way to do it, right? I got to imagine, just like in baseball, headhunting is not something that people want to see.
No, you're not going to see that. Yeah, of course, there's a right way to do it. The guy on the other team comes up to you and says, "Hey, let's go. It's time to," and everyone understands that. You don't want to see cheap shots. Hockey's done a real good job of making an instigator rule, so you can't just go after someone who's not a willing combatant and grab them and start beating on them. There's a respect level on both sides, and I think it's a real honorable thing. To have to stand up for yourself instead of having the other team take it on your teammates. You did something stupid, you gotta pay a little bit of a price. It's not the end of the world. You go in there and you stick up for yourself, and then it's over. So I think it's a good thing.
How did the game change through your career? I got to imagine early part of your career, a little slower game, very physical, more enforcer type stuff. Later in your career, more speed predicated, a little more, quote, pretty. Am I right on that timeline? Did the game change a lot as you were going through your career?
The game changed a ton throughout my career. I mean, my highlight video of the first half of my career is like the video they showed for penalties at the end of my career. Like everything I did, I was clutch and grab and slowing people down and interfering. And I mean, it was part of the game, and they got rid of it, and they should have. It's really helped the game. It's given the ability for a smaller. I mean, you look at a guy like Martin St. Louis. He would have unbelievable player, but it would have been a lot tougher for him to play in the 80s than it is now. They made a lot of rules that they should. They let skilled players have some more room, less clutch and grab, less hooking and holding, And I think it's dramatically helped the game. The game right now is incredible. It's so fast. Watching the Bruins last night move the puck around, it's absolutely incredible. So I think it's good things for me. Not so much. It wasn't really for a bigger guy that kind of doesn't have the quickest feet. I don't think I'd be playing in the league these days.
Everybody gets protective of their own favorite sport when it comes to a low scoring game. What I mean is, like, someone tells me, oh, baseball's so boring, it's 1-0. Well, I tell you 1-0 is a great game. Conversely, I tell you that 1-0 hockey isn't all that fun, and everybody says, no, that's the best game ever. But now we're seeing a lot more 4-3, 6-5 type games. Do you like the rules that have helped the offense and made it easier for the offense to shine?
Yeah, absolutely. People want to see goals in hockey. I mean, they want to see good defense and good goaltending too. But they've done some great things. I think adding the shootout, the 3-on-3 overtime, I think is what a great idea that has been. Do you really want to see 5 periods of overtime between these teams? I think they've made some great changes. And yeah, I love high scoring. I'm as defensive as they get. I can appreciate good defense, but I think the high scoring games are great. I think most fans agree.
Well, you see it flashing on the screen there that you won a silver medal in the 2002 Olympics. You played a lot internationally in your career. Why was that important to you?
Uh, it was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. I played a few world championships. In order to play in those, I think they kind of play those in like April, so you have to be out of the playoffs in order to play in those, which
Yep.
was unfortunate. When I was in LA, we had a few years, so we didn't make the playoffs, but it gave me an opportunity to play overseas. But the Olympics was just an amazing deal for me. I was kind of a guy on the outside looking in for even making that team, and I just had a great season that year, and was able to play in the Olympics. It was in the U.S., so my whole family was there, and it was real easy to get around, and we had a great. Obviously we ended up losing in the finals, but what a great experience and a great memory for myself.
What was it? What's the experience like of being in the Olympic Village? I've always wondered that. I had this vision that it's like in college and dorm rooms and everybody's just walking around mingling, but is that the case, or are you kind of isolated just with your team?
Well, we were in dorm rooms, and you are with your team. It was a weird deal the way the NHL does it. I had a pro game. I think we were playing Phoenix on a Wednesday, and I was playing Friday in the Olympics. There was
Wow.
no opening ceremonies. There was no, all that. It was just get in there and play. Really, we really didn't even practice that much with a coach on the ice. We just went out there and played. So it was odd that way. I kind of always pictured the 1980 watching a team play for a year together and all that kind of stuff. It
Yeah.
wasn't that. It was a bunch of really skilled pro players coming together to play in a small tournament. But you knew the gravity of and that you were representing your country when you come out for the games and all the flags. So it was, in that respect, it was absolutely the Olympics, but there wasn't a lot of the other stuff. It was out of there before closing ceremonies, back to pro hockey. So it was a little different in that regard.
How much do you think playing in the Olympics helps grow the game? Because the NHL players didn't play the last time around in South Korea. They're trying to get back into it for 2020. But how much do you think playing in the Olympics can help grow the game to the casual fan?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I mean the game is really big. Usually when you want to be in the Olympics, you want to try and grow it globally, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere else that it already isn't. I mean, it's big in Europe. People do love to see the best players in the world playing, though. So that in that regard, I think the big thing that they should do, the Olympics kind of should be a team that travels together and plays together for a long period of time. I do believe in that.
Hmm.
But I also believe in that there should be a tournament of the best players in the world, and I think what they should do that's the World Cup. And they should. When I played in the World Cup in '04, I think, and we were together for a month, our
Hmm.
team practicing and getting ready for that. And I think that could be that, and it doesn't interfere with any season. It's after the season, so I think that would be a great indicator of the absolute best tournament that they could possibly put together. And it's really tough for these guys to play a full NHL year and throw the Olympics in there. It's a huge grind. So I don't know what'll end up happening in the end, but hopefully they have some sort of tournament where you've got the absolute best players in the world playing against each other.
Catamount Chronicles episode number 5 of the podcast, brought to you by the Strike Zone Academy in Essex Junction, baseball training facility. All your baseball needs, from all the high-tech stuff to as simple as just renting out batting cages, and with your buddies everywhere in between. So you get a free evaluation of your baseball skills by mentioning this podcast. Dan and the crew over at the Strike Zone just off Susie Wilson Road will take care of you. And if you want that free evaluation from me, I can do that for you as well. Aaron, I know you've done some coaching since your playing days ended, or at the high school level. Have you enjoyed coaching the game since you've been out of it?
I've had a lot of fun. It was especially fun coaching my kids, my girls, coming up. I got to coach my oldest all through high school. We won a state championship at Rice. It's just a lot of fun to give back. Now, coaching girls hockey has been a whole different experience. I've kind of figured that out as we've gone. Honestly, though, the girls have it figured out so much better than the guys. They understand what's really important in sports, and they don't take themselves too seriously, and they work hard and listen. I watch some of these high school boys team. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I control these kids. But I've had a great group of girls over at Rice for the last 6 years. It's been a lot of fun. Helps me get through these long cold winters, and just to be on the ice and try to give back to a sport that's given so much to me.
I want to transition to some UVM stuff. I've got a chance to talk to Coach Todd Woodcroft, the new coach, a couple of times. Seems like a great guy, certainly seems well connected, and I don't doubt that he knows the game in general. What do you think are realistic expectations for UVM now?
Well, if they're even going to play this year, who knows what's happening this year. I think it's got to be baby steps. I think they've got to just try to improve year over year. Listen, they only had a handful of wins last year, if that. So they're starting at the bottom, but it's just to show the fans and show this community that they're going in the right direction, because people want to go to those games and cheer for that team. They love that team. But it's been a tough couple of years, and it's been tough to watch some nights. They always work hard, but when you're watching a lot of 1-0 games, it gets to be a little mundane. So hopefully they can get some skilled players. It's been a while since there's been a really, really high level skilled goal scorer in Burlington. I'd like to see that, and just work and get better and be a part of the community. And no one expects a year from now for that team to be a top level team in the Hockey East, but they've got to improve each and every year, and I'm hopeful that they'll do that.
What level of involvement do alumni want? I mean, because I know what level of involvement I have with my college team, but what do you want to be? Do you want coaching staff to reach out to you? Do you want to help close recruits? Do you just want to play in a golf tournament every summer? What kind of involvement do the alumni want?
Well, I think there's different levels for different people. I think the alumni wants to always feel like they're part of the program. So bringing them back each year, just making them feel involved. And but I personally, I'd do whatever was asked. If they said show up, talk to the guys. If they said we've got to recruit, we'd like you to come meet. If they said pretty much anything that they needed. I'm a huge fan of UVM hockey. Obviously, I've played there and live here, and I think it's a big part of this community. And whatever Todd and his coaching staff need, and I've expressed this to them. I'm a phone call away, and I think that goes for any of the alumni. Some guys may want to be over involved. I don't think there's too many of those guys, but I think that Todd's been real clear in talking and reaching out and telling the alumni how important they are, and I think he'll be leaning on some guys for sure.
Pretty cool story about 3 weeks ago that longtime NHL coach Mike Babcock is joining the staff as a volunteer assistant. We don't know what level of involvement he'll really have. It sounds like it's going to be more remote and he's not moving to Burlington. But how cool is that for a program to say that Mike Babcock is just part of their program? I got to imagine that would look really good to a young college player.
Yeah, especially an aspiring a kid that wants to play at the next level, because Mike's done it all. He's coached, Stanley Cup teams, and he's coached Olympic hockey, and he obviously knows what it takes to not only play at the next level but be successful. So I think he can help in a lot of ways. I hope he's as involved as he possibly can be. But yeah, I think that's a big get for the program, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but it can only help.
How did you end up at UVM? I know you're from Buffalo. I know you caught some fire in a junior tournament up in Quebec growing up, but how did you get noticed by UVM?
Yeah, they recruited me really hard, really, really hard. Assistant coach Tom Mayer at the time, who played here and had just graduated, was an assistant coach, and he probably saw me play 40 to 50 times my senior
Wow.
year, or my junior and senior year. He was everywhere, and I was a smart kid in high school. I don't know what's happened since, but I was looking at all Ivy League schools, to be honest with you, Harvard and Princeton and Dartmouth and I also looked at Clarkson and Vermont. Those are my 5 visits that I took, and Vermont, it just felt right. I knew nothing about the state, the program, but I knew that when I came for the weekend and saw the environment, that it was something I wanted to be a part of, and they assured me that I not only be a part of it, but I'd be a huge part of it, and they just made me feel really comfortable. And who knows what would have happened if I had gone somewhere else, but I really feel like that was one of the most important decisions I've ever made. I mean, coming to Vermont and just falling in love with the state, and meeting my wife and starting a family here. So it was a weird time to figure out where to go, but there's no doubt I made the right decision.
Why was this the place you wanted to come back to and live? I mean, you lived in Denver. You said great place. You played in LA, another great place. Why was Burlington a place you wanted to come back to?
Well, pretty much because my wife said so.
Okay. Hey, that's usually a good
In a
methodology.
nutshell. No, not really. I mean, no, no. I always spent my summers here. Right out when I graduated and started playing pro, I would always come back here in the summer. It just felt really comfortable. Had a lot of friends here, and then moving around Denver was a great place. LA was a great place, but it always seemed that Vermont is what I came back to, and it just seemed like a really, really good spot to raise a family. And it's been awesome. My kids have loved growing up here, and I absolutely love this community. So it's worked out perfect.
I don't know if we're in your house, if we're at the Buffalo Wild Wings office, but you look like you've got some cool collectibles back there. What we got back there?
Oh yeah, I got all my stuff hanging. I got my picture with Bill Clinton right there when I got to go to the White House. I got my first goal hanging up. Some of my UVM stuff, some signed sticks. I got a lot of memorabilia. Yeah, this is I'm at my office, and this is my happy place
Are you a
here.
collect? Are are you a
I don't have a
collector
ton of
of
awards, but
things?
hang up. I certainly did.
Are you a collector of
No,
things, Aaron?
there was guys when I was playing that did that. No, no. When I played, there was guys that did that, and it always bothered me. Like, why you bother asking everyone for sticks and bothering guys? And now I kind of wish I did. I've got a few. I've got like a Patrick Waugh and a Ray Bork and a Forsberg and a Robitaille. I was smart enough to know to get those guys autographs, so I was playing with them. And I've got some Olympic stuff and some team signed stuff. So for me, it's really not a big deal, but it's kind of nice to look at stuff and remember it. It's good for other people too, and they'll stop by and they'll see stuff and, oh my gosh, look at this, look at that. But I never really was a big collector. I tried to just take it all in and lock it all in the brain and remember it that way.
Well, given my present state of employment, I've been playing a lot of golf. I know you play a lot of golf. What's your number one golf tip for me? Something. Give me something that can help
I'd
me.
have to see us play. I mean, what do you struggle with? Putting? Are you got everything?
Well, let's see. The driver off the tee, anything chipped, and putting. All 3 of those would be problems, but I'd say chipping is the number one issue.
Oh boy, chipping! Just hit it on the green then. I don't know. I've gotten a lot better, and the biggest thing I've done is just shorten my backswing, because I used to take this huge massive swing and slice the ball everywhere. And I kind of shortened it up, and it's helped. I've lost some distance, but it's helped me keep it in the fairway, because in the end, that's really all that matters, to score.
I'll get you out of here on this. Ryan Russillo, guy I've gotten to know through the media, and a guy who's one of your best friends. He's going to do one of these at some point. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to do one of these at some point. Give me something that we don't know about Russillo that I can spring on him and surprise him with.
Oh my gosh. He loves basketball. He thinks he could dunk too. He put a video out. He put a video out of him dunking, but I'm certain it's not a 10-foot rim. We'll have to get him somewhere and see if he can do that. But I don't know. I mean, talk about, all about his bartending days. I'm sure he's got some good stories from back at UVM. But what a really good guy, and what a good story about, it's putting your head down and working hard. And hopefully you're on that same path too, Brady. But now I got my son, my 13-year-old son. That's what he wants to do. He wants to be in sports and broadcasting. So it's pretty neat to see, and Ryan's really good at what he does.
Well, hey, if you can't tell your son, if he's not capable of playing in the pro game, there's nothing better than talking about the people who play in the pro game. So either way, I think he's going to be okay then.
I will let him know that, Brady.
Aaron Miller, Catamount Chronicles, Episode 5, Sobu Stretch Yoga Studio, Meditation Studio, Shelburne Road in South Burlington. Also brought to you by the Strike Zone Academy in Essex Junction. Aaron's restaurant is Buffalo Wild Wings, also on Shelburne Road. One of my favorite. I recommend, it's plain, but the mild wing sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings is like my go-to wing sauce anywhere. I don't know why. Like, I can't be a little more adventurous than mild, but the mild wing sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings is the perfect wing sauce.
I agree. That's the original.
So, Aaron, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Brady. Take care, buddy.